Welcome back to Pulp Culture Plus, your bonus hit of one-on-one deep dives with creative talent from Australia and around the world. A show where we unpack the process and the passion and everything in between about being creative. Joining us today is Australian freelance artist and illustrator Levi Cleeman, a rising creative known for his bold style and strong visual storytelling, with his Kickstarter now out, Death Roll, an anthropomorphic actioneer, which has just launched, and we're really excited to have him on the show. Please welcome Levi. Hey, mate.
How you doing? Thank you so much for having me.
I know, almost wasn't the stars weren't aligned for us when it comes to technology.
It never is, mate. It's always the way. There's always something I hate. I hate technology as much as I use it.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll touch on it later, but I just it's so frustrating. So it's all right. I'm used to it.
You're just not friends.
Yeah, pretty much, mate. Honestly, I have like so much anxiety and stress about either learning new, software or figuring it out, or if I might lose a ton of art or something like that. It's I don't like it, but I use it. I need it.
It's all good. Well, we've got there in the end. So. Anyway, thanks for being on the show. Just so that you're aware, Lauren nominated you from last week's episode. She had nothing but terrible things to say about you. So
that makes sense. After the time we've spent together, I can believe it.
Yeah.
No, I was listening to you guys. I listened to that podcast. It always, if ever I hear my name unexpectedly, it's always a shock, and I feel like I'm in trouble. But that was a nice surprise.
That's fantastic. Well, maybe I've sort of given you a little bit of a spiel at the beginning. Tell us a little bit about you and how you sort of started this road to creativity.
So I'm an artist in Perth, born in Darwin, but was in the country as a kid, now here, but I've been drawing all my life. I think I was just very fortunate with my parents, being that they were supportive, because my sister's very talented as well. She's a singer. She's a talented singer, and so when we grew up in the country, there wasn't much of an opportunity. We did what we could, but fortunately we moved into the city where we could kind of expand on that creativity and learn from other people and everything, whether it be schools or out of school training, or learning. But I have been drawing since I was about 3. I think the first prize I won was the Royal Show Judges Award, when I was 5. And that was just that's what I mean. It's just not that it was any good, but I don't know, they seemed to like that there was a lot there for a 5-year-old.
Yeah,
so it's just been happening forever. I can't. It's the only thing I really, really love to do and stick with.
Yeah, fantastic. So are you nowadays? Are you more of a digital artist or still a traditional artist with the aid of digital?
Both. Everything always starts with traditional. Mm-hmm. It feels a lot more natural, a lot more easy. Mm-hmm. I can't just draw straight onto a screen. Mm-hmm. I use a tablet, a Wacom tablet, but that's after I do the initial sketch with a pencil. Mm-hmm. So I always have pencil and paper, and then I also it's a really honestly stupid and long process that I do that I haven't seen any other professionals really do too much of, probably for good reason, but I really like it because, like I said, it kind of gives me a bit of a break from using technology so much, and gives my eyes a break from looking at a screen, because I'll draw the once I've done the sketch, and I'll put it onto the computer and I'll outline everything. I do like crisp outlines in Photoshop using a tablet, like you're just drawing like you would with a normal fine liner pen, and then I print that out and then do the colors with colored pencils, because I just have a lot more control over colored pencils, or I prefer pencils, but I did train, and I was fortunate enough to be taught, how to paint, whether it be oil painting or watercolor painting, but pencils is just so easy, and I can take them anywhere, and there's no cleanup, and they're just very versatile. And then I'll color over the pencils again after I scan it digitally, and just it's just a very long process, but the end result looks quite nice.
Yeah. What so what part of the page or the piece that you're working on that it clicks for you? When is that moment? Is it the actual sketch? Is it then when you finish the pencils? Is it when you're ready to put it into digital and do those finishing touches on? What part does it click for you and you go, yep, I'm happy with that and I'm moving on?
I think probably after I've done the pencils, I really enjoy, it's different phases. I really, if I know exactly what I'm going to draw and I'm looking forward to it, like say for it's a scene in a comic book, and I'm really looking forward to this scene. It's got the right characters. It's got this action. It's maybe it's in a really emotional point in the story, and I get really amped up for it. So, but I haven't started it yet. But that can be really enjoyable, and I'll strictly just listen to music when I do that, so I can think about what I'm doing more. And then it's also a gear shift when I go on to digital and start outlining, or same thing when I'm coloring, because I can kind of switch off a little bit more and listen to an audiobook. That's the only way I have time for consuming other stories these days is audiobooks, and I can kind of switch off a little bit and just get a story and get a book in or something while I go into the outline, and I can see it come together more. And then the pencils and then the digitals, the thinking side of it is a little bit more done by then, but it's cool because you get to see it come together a lot more in the later phases. And there's definitely points during the entire thing where you're like, oh my God, this is 20 hours into a page. Is this going to pay off? Is this going to suck? Is this a waste of time that I don't have? And is this a bad idea that's not going to come to, fruition? So it is really nice when by the end of it and the colors are done, I'm like, all right, cool. This is going in the book. I don't have to redo this or whatever. What?
So you talked about your love or your love-hate relationship with technology. Tell us a little bit about what that learning curve looked like for you, being an artist traditionally and then moving into that digital space.
I just for whatever reason, I've always found the technical side, learning all the little, I get very intimidated by the software and the buttons. And then, when you watch a tutorial, they're always using a different updated or older, software that doesn't match up to what you're doing. And then I get terrified that I'm going to lose all my stuff or forget how to save something properly or ruin, God knows how many hours of work. And I think I did graphic design in TAFE, and I did find out that I'm a pretty terrible graphic designer. I could illustrate, and if ever there was one of the classes or, revolved around that, I would excel. But then anything to do, I was just absolute crap at everything else. I realized I couldn't be, and it was a great learning curve. You would learn a bit more about typography and just placement and color and all this. I would pick it up and learn a bit more, but compared to the other people that could just boom, 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 understand and learn the software and learn that, I don't know. It's just it's kind of like math and science, I just struggled with it. Intimidated me.
No, that makes perfect sense. You were talking about listening to audiobooks, and I noticed that you've got quite a bit of work that's been heavily influenced from the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. Is that something that's really sort of sparked the imagination when you've been listening to those books, or?
Definitely. They've been a huge one for me recently. Like I'm not too big on re-listening to books just because there's so many stories out there. So I haven't listened to one since the last one came out.
Yeah.
And I normally consume a lot of thrillers or horrors or crime, mysteries and stuff like that. But so quite a different genre. But the Dungeon Crawler Carl ones are just they were so. But like drawing, and still are, like they're so fun to do because the characters are so unique and so bombastic, and they're character forward. Like meaning, like I think the writer Matt Dinnerman really focuses on every individual's character's story so much. So I get so invested in getting them right, and they're all so unique. They're like the X-Men, but. You know, like, but also nothing like them. And then what's also why I've stuck with that for so long, besides getting officially licensed to work done with them now, which is really exciting. The reason why I started getting into it so much, and I would advise maybe other artists if they're in a similar, place as I am, like I've drawn and seen other artists. I've seen Batman and Superman and Wolverine and all the other ones so many times, and there's so many artists that I feel like I can never live up to, and I've also done those characters so much, but they look so similar to how the other artists are doing them. And I just, like, I wanted to do my own characters, but also, like, it was still fun drawing these characters that hundreds of thousands of people reading about and everything, but there's not much art out there for them. So to be able to be in that first wave and put out a visual representation that not many people have is actually really fulfilling and exciting, because they've got it in their heads. But unlike Batman or anyone else, there's no visual besides like a cover. There's no visual for them, what I mean?
Yeah.
Or for myself. Yeah. So it's really exciting putting that out there and being like, this is how I envision it. And you can only go off the words on the page rather than someone else's art,
Yeah,
does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. I suppose you're pretty excited about the news that there's going to be a TV series coming?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, so excited. I am skeptical, though, because I heard it was going to be live action, and I'm sure they know what they're doing, but I just think it's like, unless I'm wrong, but I did hear live action, and it's just such an insane world and story. Like, the budget's got to be out of this world. I would have thought like a dark animation would have been
well, I mean,
more doable.
It's interesting because, I mean, Seth MacFarlane's attached to that, to produce it.
Yeah.
So.
He's kind of excelled in both, but then, I would have thought, definitely not in the same style as Family Guy. I wouldn't have thought that would be a good idea, for sure. Are you familiar with the books at all?
I am familiar with the books, yeah. So it's going to be, it's a wild ride, right? So if they plan on doing it as a live action, they've obviously got some pretty good ideas on how they're going to roll it out. So, look, I mean, that's amazing that you're now doing official art for the property. So and that obviously goes in spades by your talents and your skills. What's something that you believed about your art early on that you've like completely changed your mind about now?
Oh God. That I've changed my mind on it.
So have you changed your style in a way? Like when you first
hugely,
started?
yeah. Like it's definitely. Although it's funny because it's almost gone back to like how as a kid I would constantly draw monsters and like I'm big into drawing animals and monsters and beasts and stuff like that, and then it switched to like demons. I did a lot of more leaning into like the horror and demonic creatures and stuff like that, and then it went into more like superheroes, and now it's like it's a bit of a mix of everything, but it's definitely all the original art that I'm doing now for my own books and my own stories is all like the anthropomorphic animals, like akin to like say Black Sad, or there's that comic Solo, or I mean there's a bunch of different anthropomorphic stories out there. I guess growing up in the 90s we had a lot of that, you know, when we were consuming like the Street Sharks and Ninja Turtles and all that kind of stuff. This looks a lot different to that, but I could definitely see where those influences came from. And I just love, because I love nature documentaries, I love animals and everything like that, and taking the characters from different animals and making them into actual characters in the book, like they lend themselves to become such wonderful creations, and their personalities shine and stuff. And when I'm actually telling a story and letting that help with that, influence with that, is a lot of fun, you know? So I guess like in terms of style, it's more, I don't know, the styles, you know, just you progressively get a bit better, but I think the subject itself is more changed and ebbed and flowed.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I mean, you've obviously you've done quite a number of cons now, and you've met other artists. You obviously you've worked with Lauren. What's that sort of piece of advice that you've heard either from someone, you know, directly to you, or that or on YouTube or read or something or other that has stuck with you and sort of is part of your work process now?
I can't remember who said this, but I'm sure it's been a number of people that have said something similar to this, and I've kind of ran with it, and I've had to slow myself down and take it like, and I guess, you know, take it upon myself as well, is just enjoy the process. Like I said, I can't say who said that, or if I heard that at all, but that's kind of what I've been telling myself. And then other people, like, because I teach a kids art class on the weekend, and you know they're young kids, you know, then we draw whatever, but like, or other artists that are earlier on in their career, and they get frustrated because they're not leveling up, you know, as fast as they'd like. And just like anyone, they see what they love out there and what they want to emulate. And I have the exact same issue. And you're comparing yourself constantly to artists that are truthfully better than you and more skilled and in every way what you want to be. But like at the same time, you have to embrace the grind of it, the process. Otherwise, there's no point. That's why we admire the artists that we see and love their work, because they are so talented and they take their time to get better and they constantly improve, you know. And if there was a magic button that could do that and anyone could do it, then nobody would give a shit, you know. And that's why like nobody likes the AI slop, is because there is no soul, there is no talent or thought or anything put behind it. So I just think that the biggest thing is that this takes a lifetime, and you have to embrace that and enjoy it, and enjoy the fact that it's going to take, you know, every piece probably is going to take hours upon hours and days, and just stick with it. You know what I mean? Don't rush it. Don't look at it as the end, as the goal, like the end result. Just enjoy it as you're doing it. It's a privilege to have the time and space and means to create something that you love. So enjoy it while you get to do it, you know. Don't just think about how it's going to look at the end of it, you know. So that's a really long-winded way of saying, I don't know, enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah, no, it's great. So with obviously, you know, you're not always going to be enjoying what you're doing, and you sort of, you know, get to a point where it's either not working out, or you're feeling challenged, or you're feeling a little bit a bit stifled. What do you do to help, you know, sort of recharge, reinvigorate, get yourself back in the zone?
Get up, because I'll draw, you know, 8+ hours a day, you know. Sometimes that's a light day. And, you know, with a full-time job that fortunately does still allow me to spend some of that time doing art as well. But, like, For me, the biggest thing is like resetting with the gym. Like I'll go to the gym every day and work out as hard as possible for at least an hour. And if I don't get that in, which is extremely rare, I'll go insane. So it's the complete like you have to step away, and like I will physically exert myself and try not to think about it for as much as I can. And then come back refreshed, you know, or if I can't, like, or go for a walk, you know, like because sometimes, you know, you'll be sitting down and it's been hours and I'll want to get up and scream because it's just you've been confined to that desk for so long, and you know, it's almost a bit unnatural to a point, you know. For me, I can do that for hours and hours and hours, but you know, there comes a point.
No, that makes perfect sense. If you could collaborate with any creator. Now, this is like that old saying, like, you know, if you could have dinner with anybody, but we're talking about pure collaboration. If you could collaborate with any creator, either alive or dead, who would be that person or people?
Ooh, that's such a good question. I wish I'd thought about it more, but can I give a couple?
Yeah, absolutely, you can. Lauren made a list, so you can list as many or as little as you like.
I mean, I for a couple of, like, I mean, obviously Matt Dinnerman would be incredible just because he's creating such a vibrant world. I really love his storytelling, and it lends itself to like visuals so well. Like, it's such bombastic action, and the characters are so exciting to see, and they do everything insanely well. Like, it would be a challenge, but it would be exciting to do like a one shot or a small comic collaboration there.
Yep.
But then also, so I feel kind of bad about this one because I haven't had a chance to read his comics yet. I haven't had a chance to read much lately, but there's a writer who's doing those image comics. I think they're called Feral, and I think he's even doing Deathstroke, the absolute Deathstroke and stuff like that. Just the way that he's got that serial killer story about this serial killer that steals people's dogs after he's killed the family or something. Yeah. And it just sounds so insane, so unique and so different. And I feel like the fact that I do a lot of animal art could really go hand in hand with what he's doing. Like, so that's dark.
Tony Fleeks you're referring to?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
Yes. And I just, again, like, he's that dark storytelling with colourful characters and the animals, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do as well, is have that juxtaposition between these, like, you know, it's a colourful world, colourful animals and stuff, but then on the flip side, there's all this violence and gore and horror, and it's terrifying, you know, like, and I think that's exciting. Yeah. So to team up with him would be really cool. And then the other one would be, it's a bit left field, but like maybe one of the writers that I've been listening to. So like someone like who does like maybe Christopher Ballman, who wrote Between Two Fires, or Charlie Parker's series by John Connolly. Again, there's no visuals behind any. There's no movies or anything like that. But when I'm listening to them, they sound so like dark, and like the folk horror that's, you know, told like in the stories, and this gothic dark fantasy or whatever, you know, their storytelling and stuff like that. Like, and because there's no comic or visuals or like even a book with pictures in it, you know, I think that would be really fun to do.
Yeah, that's pretty rad. And it sounds like a great conversational party to start things off with. That's for sure.
Yeah.
With relation to you know, you were talking about storytelling, and obviously you're sort of visualizing some of these characters that might not necessarily have ever sort of been illustrated before. What comes first for you in the creative process? Is it a story, or is it the artwork first, or is it a bit of both?
When I'm drawing the characters from, like, say, a book like Dungeon Crawler Carl, or another book that hasn't been...
Whatever your process is it usually story first, or is it the illustration?
It really, like, if sometimes a scene will really capture me, other times I'll just like the character themselves, like I really like to get the emotion more than anything else behind a character, and it's always character forward. Maybe there'll be a scene in the book, whether it's what I'm doing, like my own story, or what I've been listening to, that will capture my imagination. I'll be like, I have to draw that. But other times it's like, maybe more often than not, it's the emotion behind the scene, or the emotion that it brings out in myself, and I'm like, if that was really impactful, I would like to try and capture that. Whether or not I do is another thing, but like that is what leads it first. And then, but again, if it's specifically for like Death Roll, the comic, then it will be, once I've got the basic script, then I start to like nail it down more and more and more with the actual like writing it down, and then I'll commit to the actual art a bit more.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, you mentioned Death Roll. This is your Kickstarter that has just launched. Tell us a little bit about Death Roll.
It is something I've been working on for years. I actually finished it for the most part a couple of years ago, but it just means that, like, because I've almost finished, because the Volume 1 release on Kickstarter, where it'll release by the time this comes out, it's just launched. Volume 2 is almost finished as well, and each book is 180 pages. So it's a big, thick graphic novel, and it's fully colored, fully edited. Fortunately, I had a guy, a wonderful man called Ben Wolf. He's an author and editor that reached out, and I won't get into it just yet, but I was really fortunate to have him edit it for me. And it is set in an anthropomorphic world in Miami, Florida. Death Roll is the story of Forrest, a young American bulldog and Army Ranger veteran, pushed beyond all limits in a desperate fight to rescue his brother from a gang of vicious reptiles. The dragons, led by a behemoth saltwater crocodile hunter, will tear his whole family apart before they allow their black market meat trade and nefarious hunting operation to be brought down. So it's ultimately like, it's not quite revenge, it's almost like a rescue story. And it's about these brothers and this guy that he's a younger veteran. Like, normally you get these kind of grizzled veterans that just want to be left alone and out of the fight, but he suffered like Forrest, the main character, like a catastrophic injury that took off the lower half of his right leg at an early point. Like, he just reached the kind of the tip of the spear. He was an Army Ranger, and then, but very early on, got kind of taken out of the fight, and then wouldn't be able to, not allowed to come back in and re-enlist. And so there's a lot of rage, there's a lot of resentment, there's a lot of loss in the character, and like, he wants to be in the fight, and he's quite immature and bullheaded about that.
Well,
and that's the only thing he's good at. Right? So, sorry, what was that?
He's a bulldog, right?
Exactly. See what I did? That's for the scholars to kind of put together, years from now.
Yeah, got it. I mean, it says here too that if you're fans of Black Sad or Jack Reacher or Berserk, then obviously you're going to enjoy this book. Are those you spoke about Black Sad before. I'm guessing that these types of properties are very heavily influenced.
Definitely. I think, to be honest, I started working on it before I actually started reading Black Sad, and that was about, I don't know how much I'd done by then, but then I found, I was like, oh my God, like, this is what I wanted to, like, this is what I'm striving to create, but like, I think it was more, to be honest, without trying to deviate it too much, I'd already created just a list of characters, like not just a list, sorry, but like, I'd done the artwork, I'd created bios for like 65 characters, all these animals. I've got so much art that I haven't put out there yet, because I was just creating this book of book of animals that were all like warriors and criminals and serial killers and yakuza and mafia and spec ops guys, and from all around the world, using like different animals. And then Forrest, the main character for the graphic novel, was kind of like almost like a joke character I did towards the end that was just kind of loosely based off the Punisher, like Garth Ennis's run. And me and my mate, and I did it based on his dog, this bulldog, like this Scott. So he's a Dogo Argentino and an American bulldog cross, right? And so just so we don't have the English or French bulldog in our mind, and. Yeah, he just, and it was kind of, and then and then I started to change, and I really kind of grew attached, and then his story kind of grew. And I was like, I need to do a scene with this guy, so I did a whole scene, and I was like, I need to do a book, and then it kind of just expanded. So now, his story is, like at least this first death roll, like in both books, volume 1 and volume 2, are about, well over 300 pages. Yeah. Most of it finished by now.
That's awesome. So with that, and I mean, setting it in Miami, you've sort of got that Miami Vice vibe to it as well, with that sort of neon 80s sort of influence, which I think is always a great sort of scene or setting. I love the idea of having criminals that are sort of lizards and crocodiles and
cool. I'm glad someone does.
Yeah, which I think
it's so niche, but
but that sort of just, I mean, like with Black Sad, it leans into what you would expect that animal to be, or that creature to be, based on your feelings towards them anyway, and so I can really sort of, without seeing the book, I can already see where you're sort of going when it comes to that character development.
Thank you. That's part of it. Like, as I was, this is early on, but like I would have these kind of like wrestling with myself and my decisions on like, have I committed to doing the wrong, like, should I have made Forrest like a big cat or a bear or something much more, terrifying, like physically capable. He could have been like more of like a Jack Reacher or a John Wick character, but I was like, nah, he's not that. He's a dog. Like, he's not the biggest, he's not the scariest, he's not the fastest, he's not a lone wolf. But what dogs have, like, and obviously other animals do, but when we think of specific breeds of dogs, it's their tenacity and it's their love and it's their loyalty that they have for one another, and it's their ties to family and their bravery that sets them apart. Like, they're never like really, the most intimidating when you look at the animal kingdom, but there's so much you can pull from that with him specifically and the breed, and like you can have fun with the fact that, well, what happens if they don't have a pack, like mentally, how do they cope? And then, with every book that comes out, like after this, it's so fun to think about what animals would make a great villain. Like you say, like, I've got the saltwater crocodile for this one, but then like later on down the track, I want to go more into like a bit more horror, or a bit more like folk horror specifically, or like cartels and stuff. Like, and there's so many animals that you could pull from that I've got some ideas for that could just be so fun visually as well. Like, it just kind of turns it on its head. And again, like, the setting's one thing, like with all the bright colors, like in Miami, and I want to take him all around America, like the Louisiana swamps.
I was like just thinking that. I was just thinking that. You sparked my imagination completely in the Louisiana swamps. So I'm there already. That's
exactly. And then like I want to do like I don't know how to say it. The Mount. How do I say the Appalachian? Because to be honest, I've found that I prefer to draw nature than structures. I've come to like doing so many interior buildings and cityscapes and stuff. I'm like, oh my God, get me in the bloody forest. So like, I want to set it more in like rural areas, like small towns. And that's why I love the Stranger Comes to Town idea behind comics. That's why Jack Reacher works so well, at least the earlier books. It just, every book, different villain, different setting, but except I want the character to get scarred up and learn as he goes on, and like I'm thinking about like yeah, Wolverines and whatever. Like it's a lot of fun. It feels so good to tell the stories,
Yeah, that's wild. With doing a Kickstarter, for those that are, a bit like yourself, with a planning on launching a Kickstarter, or sort of circling the waters of maybe I'll put my book out there. What's your biggest learning from putting together a Kickstarter?
I would say that you have to have the work ready. Like be ready to, like, that's why I was, like I made sure that the book was done before I even thought about launching a Kickstarter, like because of all the promoting and, like behind the scenes work of, doing extra promotional art and post. Like I hate that side of things. Like I love engaging with people online and talking about the art and stories and things. And when people take an interest in my own personal stories, that is such a gift. Like that feels so incredible. So I love spending the time talking about that with people that would message me privately that want to know more. But if the work wasn't already done, like the story and the edit and all the rest, I'd be so stressed out, trying to be like, I'm going to commit to having this book to everyone. Like, because my biggest stress has been, like, I guess, besides the technical side of things, is that I want people to feel like they got an incredible story, they get attached to the characters, and they get their money's worth at the end of the day, and they feel like it was a great purchase. And if I was freaking out about that and still trying to get the best work possible done on the comic and getting the writing done, edited, and going back like countless times like I did, whilst also trying to promote it, it would be hell and I wouldn't have done it, So I would just say, get that stuff out of the way first and then get ready to promote. And I hate promoting. I hate putting myself, like selling myself, but it's got to be done. That's
one of the purposes of having you on the show, was to talk about Death Roll. For those of you who want to check out Death Roll, it'll be in our show notes, as well as our posts on our social pages under Pulp Culture Pod. You can check out Levi's work on Instagram under Levi Cleeman Art. Also, jump over to Kickstarter, which has now started the Death Roll campaign, and you can just type in your search bar Death Roll or Levi Cleeman, and either of those will pop up. We're really grateful to have you on the show, but before we leave you, as we ask all our guests, who would you nominate or who would you like for us to interview on the show?
I'll put down two names. Either Jeremy, I don't know how to say his last name. It's Jeremy Zal. I don't know him personally, but I have messaged him a couple times back and forth. But I'm listening to his audio books, and he is an incredible author, like punk sci-fi, character forward, like action thriller type thing. He's an Australian. And I can send his link to you. Awesome. And he's gotten me through hours of, while I'm drawing away. His work's incredible. And then otherwise, Rui. And I'll send you his link as well. He's a great artist and a great friend that I'm fortunate enough to kind of link up with when I do the conventions.
Yeah, awesome. That's great. Well, thanks so much for your time. We did make it through the technical issues, but I'm so glad that we did it and that we've had you on the show. And I personally am looking forward to backing Death Roll at 180 pages. I'm already sold, and I hope you listeners are the same. But please thank Levi Cleeman.
Thank you so much for having me, mate. Like, it was a really, really nice surprise. And it's always fun, because writing, it's very solo. So every now and then it's nice to talk to people about what you love doing, Yeah. So thank you.
Like what you're hearing? Tell your friends. Follow us on socials at Pulp Culture Pod. And if you're feeling generous, drop us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast platform.